Welcome to this edition of Head to Head. I'm your host, Cam McKinney, and this is episode number 288 of the podcast. And on this episode of the podcast, I want to talk about the New England Patriots and the state of the organization because it's been a rough week for the Patriots. But before I talk about where we're at with the Patriots, I want to go backwards. And this is the reason why the Patriots have been the it franchise for the last 2 decades. They've won 6 Super Bowls, and since 1997, the team has gone to the AFC title game 15 times, and to go along with winning the AFC East 10 times. You know the big players. You know Bill Belichick, the head coach. You know Tom Brady, the longtime franchise quarterback. You know Rob Gronkowski, arguably the greatest tight end of all time. You know Randy Moss. You know Wes Welker. You know Julian Edelman. You know their elite defensive players. Vince Wilfork, Mike Vrabel, Rodney Harrison. The list goes on and on and on. But right now it feels very far away from where we were with the Patriots. They are no longer the it franchise. This past week, they were flexed out of Monday Night Football against the Kansas City Chiefs. And there's a history between these two teams in the postseason. They faced in the AFC title game numerous times. This is Andy Reid versus Bill Belichick. And the reason that this game got flexed is not because of the Chiefs. It's because of the New England Patriots. They are, of course, one of the worst teams in the NFL right now. And it's also been mentioned that this is the NFL saying we want nothing to do with Travis Kelce on Monday Night Football. I mean, all the talk about Travis Kelce and his relationship with Taylor Swift, and the Patriots are so bad that the NFL doesn't want that on their premier franchise, Monday Night Football. And that would be bad enough, but also Amazon Prime has previewed the upcoming Steelers-Patriots game with the promotion of their head coach, Bill Belichick. Usually in the promos, it's the best player on the team. The problem is no one has any idea who the best player on the New England Patriots is. It clearly isn't Mac Jones, who's been benched 4 times this season. It's not Ramondre Stevenson. He's not the same running back he was last year. I've heard some people say it's Ezekiel Elliott. I mean, that's ridiculous if true. Their best defenders are injured and lost for the season, and they've cut some of those defensive players that looked like they were going to have promising careers. Things could not be worse right now for the New England Patriots. This is the worst case scenario for the end of the dynasty. Usually dynasties don't end like this. I remember when the Yankees dynasty ended in 2001. They lost in the World Series. That's a respectable way for a dynasty to end, with a loss in the championship round with another team beating you. That's respectable. In basketball, you had the Detroit Pistons losing to the Chicago Bulls. They were the next it team. Usually that's what happens. These teams don't just fall apart and become one of the worst teams in all of football, but that has been the case with the New England Patriots for 3 of the last 4 years. Yes, one of those years they made the postseason, but that looks like an anomaly and not the reality of where the Patriots are right now. I'm really wondering what the long-term effect of this week will be on the New England Patriots franchise. And my question is thinking all of this is a big deal, is it being a prisoner of the moment, or have the New England Patriots gone back to who they were before all this success? I'm curious to see if they remain a popular football team. Right now, a lot of the national coverage has been about them playing unlike they have in the past, but after a while, that becomes an afterthought and uninteresting, and that's what gets you flexed out of Monday Night Football. People aren't even that interested to root against you anymore. You're becoming an afterthought. Teams we talk about in the NFL, no matter what the state of the team, are the Cowboys, Steelers, Niners, and Packers. They are all-time teams due to the fact that they've had multiple dynastic runs with multiple quarterbacks. The Cowboys with Staubach and Aikman, the Steelers with Terry Bradshaw and Ben Roethlisberger, the Packers Steelers with Bart Starr, Brett Favre, and Aaron Rodgers, and the Niners with Joe Montana and Steve Young. Right now, the Patriots have only won with Tom Brady, and if they want to be one of those all-time franchises, they need to have success with another quarterback. Those teams have also produced with numerous head coaches. The Steelers have had Chuck Noll, Bill Cowher, and Mike Tomlin. The Cowboys have had Tom Landry and Jimmy Johnson. It seems like sooner rather than later, we are about to find out if the Patriots can be a relevant NFL franchise without both Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. Were those two the only reason people cared about this team and why they were having success? Or in the next 5 to 10 years, will we still be talking about the New England Patriots like we are talking about them now? Or is this week, this very bad week, a sign of things to come? And listen, we'll always talk about a team that's won 6 Super Bowls. I'm talking about the current state of the New England Patriots. Will people care about the current state of the New England Patriots in 5 years? And for that to happen, they will have to have some kind of success on the field with a different head coach and a different quarterback. And I think big success if they want to be the Packers, Niners, Cowboys, or Steelers. Those teams have won multiple Super Bowls with different head coaches and different quarterbacks. The Patriots have 2 guys, Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. And I've listened to a lot of shows about this topic, and people seem hopeful for the future without Bill Belichick, but you have to remember they weren't ready for life without Tom Brady. What makes you think they're going to be ready for life without Bill Belichick? I mean, sadly, Amazon is right. He is the face of the franchise. Every conversation about the New England Patriots starts and begins with Bill Belichick. Now, maybe that's because of his failure as a head coach and general manager, but it's going to be a long road ahead for this team to become relevant again in the modern NFL. I'm saying, are we only going to talk about the past when it comes to the New England Patriots, or are people actually looking forward to their future? Will we talk about the Patriots no matter what, the way we talk about the Dallas Cowboys? I mean, we talk about the Cowboys whether they are legitimate contenders or not. No matter who the quarterback is for the Cowboys, it's a big deal. Will being the quarterback of the New England Patriots be a big deal in 5 years? I have no idea. Or the likes of Cam Newton and Mac Jones ruining that position for the long term. Will people care about who's playing quarterback for the Patriots, or are they about to revert back to being a second-class NFL franchise? I know that's hard to believe. I know some of you are going to disagree with this because the teams won 6 Super Bowl titles. We will always talk about those 6 Super Bowl titles, but the NFL is a what have you done for me lately? And if you want to be one of those NFL franchises etched in stone that we talk about no matter what, you have to have more than one great run of success. And I get it. It was a very long run. It was 20 plus years, but it was 2 people who made you relevant. Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. You have to do something outside of that if you want to be one of those all-time franchises that people care about and talk about no matter what on a national level. Patriots fans, of course, are going to care about the Patriots till the end of time. I'm talking about from a national perspective. I'm already seeing people getting tired of talking about how bad the Patriots are. They're no longer interested in life without Belichick or life without Tom Brady. They're seeing Mac Jones throw pick sixes. They're seeing Bill Belichick not being the same head coach as he was before. And most importantly, what they're seeing on the New England Patriots is there are no superstars. And you could argue they would have one if Matthew Judon was healthy, but give me a break. He's not a national superstar guy who you talk about no matter what. The Patriots do not have one of those. And for the longest time, they had the biggest one of all time. They had Tom Brady. And I understand. I think we all thought that life would be a little bumpy after Tom Brady, but I thought they would have a plan after life without Brady, especially when you consider that they were the ones who didn't want to bring Tom Brady back. I foolishly believed that the Patriots would have a seamless transition after Tom Brady because I thought they would have a game plan. Whether it was Jimmy Garoppolo or whoever, I thought Bill Belichick had a plan. He clearly did not, and I think it's going to have long-term ramifications for this franchise moving forward. Remember, the Niners went immediately from an all-time quarterback in Joe Montana to another all-time quarterback in Steve Young. The Packers went from an all-time quarterback in Brett Favre to another all-time quarterback in Aaron Rodgers. The Colts went from Peyton Manning to Andrew Luck, who looked like he could be an all-time quarterback. I thought that was going to be the New England Patriots, and I'm really disappointed that's not the case. I mean, my entire football life I've been sold on this idea of the Patriots way, but we're finding out that the Patriots way was really just Tom Brady being the greatest quarterback of all time. And what effect of that will have on the long-term future of the Patriots? I thought the Patriots were just well prepared, better than everyone. They knew what they were doing. They had a game plan. They changed it week from week. They were geniuses when it came to the game of football. Maybe they weren't geniuses. Maybe it was just because they had an all-time great generational talent. The future of this team being relevant is going to come down to who plays the quarterback position moving forward. If they have 10 years of mediocre quarterback play, nobody is going to want to talk about the New England Patriots. They're only going to talk about the past success. And that's not a place that I or anyone thought the Patriots would be. I thought we would always talk about where they are and care about the state of the team. But the only way you can do that is to be consistent. Look at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mike Tomlin never finishes below 500. They've been consistent. I'm not asking the Patriots to win the Super Bowl every season, but I am asking them to put together a decent enough product where you can be watchable. And right now, they're unwatchable. And you can't be one of those all-time teams and have numerous seasons where you are unwatchable. I thought last season with the Patriots was unwatchable. I thought the season with Cam Newton was unwatchable. And clearly, this season is the most unwatchable of them all. Amazon doesn't even know how to promote the game, so they're promoting your head coach. And ESPN flexes for the first time ever Monday Night Football against you and your rival, the Kansas City Chiefs, who you faced in the postseason. Yes, I know some people will listen to this podcast and say I'm ridiculous because the Patriots have won the most Super Bowl titles in franchise history with 6. But what I'm talking about is different. What I'm talking about is cultural relevancy. And right now, you're only relevant because you're bad. How much longer will that last? I think we're already getting tired of the Patriots are just bad at football act. And I get it. There are Patriots fans who remember when they were a really bad team. Well, guess what? When you were a really bad team, the national people were not talking about you. It wasn't that interesting because you were bad. Then you made a Super Bowl with Drew Bledsoe and things really began to change. And then you went on that dynastic run. I'm not saying that the Patriots need to go on another dynastic run to be one of those all-time teams. I'm just saying they need to play consistent football, have a really good head coach, and get the next franchise quarterback sooner rather than later, or people will tire of talking about them, whether they've won 6 Super Bowls or not. And there's also something to be said about putting together an interesting, entertaining product. Even when some of these teams have down years, like the Cowboys have had down seasons, they've been an interesting football team. I've watched the New England Patriots all season long. Nothing about them is interesting. Nothing about them is entertaining. They don't have dynamic game-changing plays. They don't really go for it. They punt way too often. They don't throw the football down the field. If you're going to be bad, there's a way you can do it, which is also entertaining. I think the style of football they played 3 out of the last 4 years is also hurting the product and also hurting the overall legacy of the team. It's not just about Amazon. It's not just about ESPN. It's about the awful product you are putting on the field. If I were going to compare it, I would compare the Patriots to the San Antonio Spurs. And remember those heydays of David Robinson and Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker? We should still be talking about that. But the Spurs have been so bad at the sport of basketball for the last 4 or 5 years that nobody really cares about them. And right now they have a transcendent talent in Victor Wembanyama, and they're still playing bad basketball. Until the Spurs get back to playing Spurs basketball, we won't talk about them like we did when they were winning NBA championships, because they haven't been consistent. That's what I'm talking about. The Patriots have not been consistent on the field. They've been awful, and they've been a terrible product to watch. And there are a lot more similarities between the Spurs and the Patriots, I think. Greg Popovich hasn't won an NBA title without Tim Duncan. He's had very little success in his NBA coaching career without Tim Duncan. Bill Belichick has had very little success in his NFL coaching career without Tom Brady. And I would say the lack of success without Tim Duncan has kept the Spurs from being one of those all-time great NBA franchises with the Celtics and Lakers. They haven't had success outside of that Tim Duncan run. That's what my fear is for the New England Patriots, is that they won't have success outside of the Tom Brady years. And without that, you won't be viewed up there with the Packers, Niners, Cowboys, and Steelers. Now listen, I'm a reasonable person. I have a time frame that I would give the Patriots time to turn it around. I would give them the next decade. If they can put together a decent enough product, get the next head coach right, and get the next quarterback right, they could be right back into being a relevant franchise. I'm saying that if this is what we're going to get from here on out, them being really bad, then nobody will want to talk about the current state of the team, the same way that nobody wants to talk about the current state of the San Antonio Spurs, because they've been so bad. You could also maybe say, is it because of the market that the Patriots play football in? Is New England one of those premier NFL markets? I don't know the answer to that, because I've only been alive during the success of the Patriots. But the Patriots aren't New York. They're not Texas. I think Texas cares more about the sport of football than New England does. So maybe that's why the Cowboys remain culturally relevant no matter what. I'll admit there could be different circumstances as to why the Steelers, Cowboys, Niners, and Packers are always in the discussion and the Patriots aren't. I'll give you that. For example, going back to the San Antonio Spurs, when the Spurs are bad at basketball, nobody talks about it. But when the New York Knicks are bad at basketball, we're still always talking about the New York Knicks. And that might just come down to the market that the Knicks play in and where the Spurs play. But what I really want to focus on is the national conversation happening about the New England Patriots. And I don't think anybody really wants to have a conversation about who should play quarterback between Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi. I really do believe it comes down to the product that they are putting on the field. I think if they were a 6-win team, but they had a decent young quarterback, we would still be talking about them on a national level. They would still care about it. They would still care about Bill Belichick. They would be talking about how he's close to breaking the all-time wins record in the sport. ESPN never mentions it. They never really mention it. Now we're talking about Bill Belichick possibly coaching the Chargers, the Commanders, or whoever will be his next NFL team. It has nothing to do with the New England Patriots. I'll end the podcast on this. The next 5 to 10 years is going to be very big for the Patriots as one of those all-time great franchises. If they want to be in that discussion, they need to get back to being a relevant organization. Get star players, bring in talented players, draft the right positions, get the right quarterback, and get the right next head coach. Whether it's Gerard Mayo or whoever, just get back into the conversation of being an interesting football team. Don't make it so that all we talk about is the glory years. And I get it. They were great. They won 6 Super Bowls. They were always in the AFC title game. They had the best quarterback of all time, and they had some all-time great talent. And it's hard to move on. But we always thought that if any team could move on, it would be the New England Patriots. And sadly, they are having a hard time moving on. They couldn't move on from Tom Brady properly. I really hope they move on from Bill Belichick in the right way. And I hope hope they have a game plan. This can't just be, let's get rid of Bill Belichick and just not think about it. I really hope if they believe in Gerard Mayo, they surround him with the right talent to have success early on. And my hope is in the next 10 years, the Patriots do become one of those teams that is in the national conversation no matter what. Not one of those teams that's getting flexed out of Monday Night Football and not really promoted for Amazon Prime's Thursday Night Football, because that's embarrassing. The Patriots are in the conversation for the wrong reasons. I hope they get back to being in them for the right ones. Thanks for listening to this edition of Head to Head. I'm Cam McKinney, and there'll be a new episode of the podcast every Monday on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So please rate, review, and subscribe.